Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Foundry by Forge College. I am so incredibly pumped you're joining me today because we are hitting a massive, and I mean absolutely critical, milestone in the comprehensive smart contract security audit capstone. We are officially graduating from the theoretical clues we found in our last lesson on static and manual vulnerability analysis, and we are diving headfirst into the wildly thrilling world of dynamic exploit simulations. Basically, we're stepping out of the dusty library and straight into the high-tech laboratory. We're going to treat this explainer like a full-blown crime scene reconstruction. We'll be moving from theory to reality, setting up our environment, crafting an exploit script, gathering that hard evidence, and finally, proving our mitigation actually works. All right, Section 1, from theory to reality. Let's reconstruct this crime scene. So in our last lesson, you were basically playing the detective, right? You were scanning through hundreds of lines of code, finding those theoretical vulnerabilities, leaving annotations, maybe writing some minimal test cases. You had your magnifying glass out. But now we're swapping the magnifying glass for a lab coat. We are taking those findings into the wind tunnel to see if the exploit actually holds up in reality. Because let's be honest, an annotated finding is really just a hypothesis until you can actually trigger it dynamically. We need replayable exploits that definitively, undeniably prove the vulnerability exists. Step 2, setting up the environment, or, as I like to think of it, building the vault replica.
Okay, so the core concept we rely on here is called a mainnet fork. What is that? Well, imagine building an exact millimeter-perfect replica of a bank vault, but hiding it inside a secret warehouse. A mainnet fork is a local, totally isolated copy of the live blockchain state. It lets us try to blow the safe, trip the alarms, and totally drain the funds without the real-world police ever showing up. It is a completely safe, zero-consequence testing lab where the laws of the blockchain still apply, but the money? Yeah, it's strictly monopoly money.
To build this replica vault correctly, your environment setup has a few strict absolute must-haves. You need the contract ABI, the target bytecode or address, an isolated testnet, and those reusable artifacts from your previous tests. And, as you'll probably explore in other Forge College learning programs, getting this setup right is completely non-negotiable. It requires exact copies of the contract data. Because think about it, if your replica vault is flawed, your exploit validation is going to be flawed too. Vault is built. Now we need a plan of attack. Section 3, crafting the exploit script. Time to put on the digital disguise. Using a framework like Hardhat, we follow a really strict 1, 2, 3, 4 sequence to convert our unit-level tests into a full-blown attack reproduction. First, we configure the network fork. Second, we impersonate the attacker. Third, we attach to the vulnerable contract. And fourth, we execute the exploit. It's a beautifully logical flow that takes us step by step right to a successful heist. I want to talk about step 2 for a second, because the hardhat impersonate account command is it's brilliant. It's literally your ultimate digital disguise. It lets you act as any externally owned account on a mainnet fork without ever needing their private keys. You want to act as a super wealthy whale to set up huge token balances for your attack? Boom! This command lets you slip on their mask and instantly have the exact on-chain footprint you need to pull the whole thing off. Here's the kicker, though. Exploit reproductions require incredibly precise state and sequence. Your exploit is only going to succeed in the wind tunnel if you perfectly recreate the exact block context, the exact token allowances, and the exact call order. Honestly, if you're missing even a single token approval that the real attacker would have needed, your script will fail. And it won't fail because the vulnerability doesn't exist, it'll fail because the setup was sloppy. Precision is literally everything here.
Section 4, gathering hard evidence. Let's look at the black box recorder.
Okay, so the script ran, the safe blew open. But if a tree falls in a forest and no one logs the transaction hash, did it really happen? Once we trigger the exploit, we have to collect irrefutable proof that the system broke exactly how we predicted. You do this by mapping out your targets using an evidence ledger. You track the exploit ID, the precise preconditions needed, and exactly what evidence you expect to see, whether that's a transaction hash, a JSON trace, or a sequence of internal calls that proves a reentrancy attack. And the absolute crown jewel of this evidence is the transaction trace. This is a JSON output from debug trace transaction. Think of it as the black box flight recorder of the blockchain. It logs every single internal operation, every tiny state change, and every opcode execution. It tells the exact story of how the contract was compromised, literally millisecond by millisecond.
So here's your checklist to build an airtight case. First, execute the replay script. Next, collect that JSON transaction trace. And here comes the magic part. Map those trace frames directly back to your original annotated source code lines. You are bridging the gap between theory and practice here. By connecting the specific trace frames to the vulnerable code lines you found during static analysis, you prove without a shadow of a doubt that your theory was 100% right on the money.
We broke the vault. We proved the heist works. And look, being a mischievous, ethical hacker is super fun, but it brings us to the ultimate question of our job as auditors. We broke it, but can we fix it?
Section 5. Proving the mitigation. Time to test the fix.
This right here is what separates an attacker from a true security professional. To prove our fix works, we create a variant of the contract with a minimal, usually one-line change. We deploy it to that exact same forked environment, and we ruthlessly rerun our attack script against it. When we hit the vulnerable state, the exploit succeeds. Boom, harmful state change. But when we run the script against the mitigated state, the exploit completely reverts, and our trace shows that the harmful internal call is completely gone.
The actual mitigation steps are incredibly straightforward. You add a minimal fix, like a simple require statement. You deploy the modified contract. You rerun the replay script. And finally, you capture that failing transaction trace. This brilliantly illustrates that when the exploit fails and reverts, those high severity ratings we handed out earlier, yeah, they are entirely justified, and the remediation guidance we're giving the client is rock solid.
All right, let's wrap up this crime scene reconstruction and talk about deliverables. Conclusion, finalizing the audit payload.
By taking those annotated findings, turning them into replayable artifacts, and capturing those black box transaction traces, you are creating undeniable, verifiable proof for your final audit report. So keep these key takeaways in mind. Reproductions absolutely require precise state. Traces are your irrefutable evidence, and mitigations must be demonstrated dynamically. Remember, we aren't just handing over opinions here, we are delivering an evidence-based security payload.
I'm going to leave you with a somewhat provocative thought to chew on as you tackle your capstone project. If your theoretical vulnerability absolutely cannot be reproduced in the wind tunnel, is it truly a high-severity threat? Definitely something to think about. Make sure to visit forge.college to learn more about this subject, dive even deeper into these practical applications, and explore a ton of other really fascinating Web3-related topics. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and happy auditing.